for most of the morning, yesterday evening, and now it is clear and gorgeous. It's around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This little sunrock delay behind me. I just think about this for fun. It's flowing north up the Sunwapta River. It flows into the Athabasca River. That goes past Jasper, winds its way out of the park, goes all the way up, picks up watershed that is west of Edmonton, and then north, goes up to Lake Athabasca. From there, it flows then into Great Slave Lake. You've been there with me, and that's where, of course, you meet Yellowknife. It flows out there, and becomes the mighty Mackenzie River system. It's pretty spectacular. Following it down to yesterday from Edmonton to beautiful Glacier behind me there, and then up in the distance, of course, is the Columbia Icefields themselves. So you're going to have a little trouble hearing me for sure. I didn't put my headphones in. But let me just turn this around. We'll look at Wilcox Pass up in the distance there. See the fresh snow? Snowed the last couple of days. There's two of my red pink coat down in the distance. Okay, doing the rest of that Katabatic wind will just about blow you away. Now this is a lateral, by the way. That same shadowy creature follows me everywhere. See that? But the lateral moraine. But this is what a proper glacial Katabatic wind. So I don't know if you can hear me. But one of the fun things I was talking about in the car on the way up here is we always hear that the driest place on earth is the Atacama Desert in northern Chile. That's not actually technically true. The coldest places in the world, the driest places in the world, are actually in Antarctica, where you have these massive Katabatic winds as well, which stop anything from growing because they just flush out any moisture. Now there's some moisture in around here. So there you go. Here is glacial signature, les signatures du glacier. Pretty fantastic there. So the striation, lateral moraines, and then the terminal moraine is the terminus marker. In this particular case, back where the Icefield Center is way back there in the distance. Right? So a few kilometers way out, if you have really good eyes, let me try and zoom in. If you have good eyes, way in the distance is actually the endless chain out there, the longest unbroken chain here in the Rockies. So it is very much fall now. A couple of days of rain was just great news. Hi there. Hey. See, wasn't sure if I'd catch anyone in the UK given how late it is. That little bush there. It's just changing color. There's some lovely milky water. So, hi everyone. It's lovely to have you here. I'm not going to stay live too long because I'm just going to keep an eye on my people. The ladies have walking sticks, but they're fit. But of course, they live pretty close to sea level when you come up here. You know, I'm walking around right now at about 1,600 meters or so. So, you know, about 6,000 feet above sea level. So lovely to see everyone here. I know it's very last minute, but you feel free to share this with anyone you want. So Mount Athabasca, Mount Andromeda up to the left there. In fact, I'll show you all the mountains. But there's the big Athabasca Glacier. I always prepare people this time of year so they can almost feel a little anticlimactic when you first see it, because it looks small, but it's just that everything else is so big. Yeah, big Mount Snowdome. And then great big Mount over on the side. But Mount Snowdome is a tri-continental divide. The ice melts on the top of that, and it can go to the Pacific, the Atlantic or the Arctic. So this is the Arctic watershed here. So there's the tours, you know. And do you know what I need to do? Backwards there. See? It doesn't blow off me. But isn't this fantastic out here? So let me just turn you around. Arctic right now. So windy, it's kind of hard to share. But if you look at the other lateral moraine over here, there's ice in that rock there too. So this is actually effectively an Arctic environment up here as well, in every meaningful way. And there is the Icefields Parkway Road. It's in great shape. So we are spending the crossing, Saskatchewan River crossing, one of my very favorite places to stay. And I get a little bit of Wi-Fi, but I'm effectively uncontactable, which is nice once in a while. There's no phone reception there, and they don't have Wi-Fi in their rooms, just a little bit around their kind of pub area. So I suppose that's an excuse to go to the pub. I don't know what I'm going to eat today. I'm vegetarian everything at the moment, but that always feels good to do. Look at all this exposed rock here. That's from the ice uncovering this only the last few decades. And now there's a lot of water still flowing out from the glacier here. And so there, actually, I'll zoom in for everyone. You can see the snow coaches out there on the ice. There you go. Right, they were specially designed to drive on it. And I don't think they're really doing any major damage to the ice. Just doing damage to the Canadian economy because it's not a Canadian business, but I guess that's another conversation for another day. But it is interesting where people, it's one of the few places in the world that fairly easily you can get out onto an ice field. So, you know, it's quite a meaningful thing to do. Now you've got all these railings around here stopping people going any further, which is obviously the right thing to do. And I mean that because there's ice and there's movement of land underneath us all the time. And then there's the glacier. Now we had a cooler summer, so I'm not sure what the scientists are going to tell us in terms of volume of melt. Look at this. See all this strata? See that? You got sandstone wedged in there, compacted down. Do you know there has been ice up in the center of this ice field for about 1.5 million years? So it ebbs and flows. But this is why ice fields are so incredibly important when we talk about climate change, because you can drill into them, you can core them. And when you core them, because you're reaching back physically into the history of the planet, you can see the industrial, you can see these things. So, and it's all an inch or 2 centimeters of glacial ice, right? Here it is, ice becomes water, and there's the rock flower. So murky brown to brilliant turquoise. This is right where it flows out of the Athabasca Falls. So I will post a little video from the falls, as I always do, because it was wonderful being there. But isn't it just magnificent out here, ladies and gentlemen? So I don't know, my reception often cuts out around here. So, hi, nice to see you. Lovely to have everyone. So, let's take my hat off for a second. See, I need a haircut. I'm turning into a long-haired hippie here. But I'm going to check on my game. I'll be home for about a week, head over to the UK, and then on to Italy. So lots of really fun, interesting things to be out. I'm sure loving my environment here, and whenever I'm around here, I really feel like going for run. I love feeling the, you know, just the power of this Katabatic. I didn't put my jacket on intentionally, just to feel the power. It's just such a treat. I want to show you one more before I go. Too windy to hear what I said. Well, oh, look at that. It's a shame that it was too windy to hear me because I just gave you the winning numbers of the lottery. So I guess we've missed that. I've forgotten them now. But no, just talking about the power of the wind out here and just how wonderful that feeling is. But here's the marker for so the toe of the glacier was here 2006, 19 years ago. That's how much it's receded in 19 years. I think that helps put it in some real experience. You know, it puts it in some real perspective. So there we are. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, peace and love. Nice to see everyone. I will try and do some lives next week. Got a real old dear friend coming from the UK who's visiting us down the old Vancouver Island right now. I mean, when I say old friend, we were roommates 35 years ago. How cool is that? Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thanks for hanging out. It was fun. Nice to connect. So there's just a little live from the ice. I'll leave you with Mount Andromeda up here.